Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Welcome to the show. Let's see, I'm going to tell you a story. I think that's how we'll start out today. You want to hear a good story?
Sure, let's hear it.
Okay, I'm going to tell you the story of Chester Yorton. Now, before I proceed, I have a lot to say. So go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss any of it. Now, who was Chester Yorton? Chester. Okay, when Chester Yorton was 17 years old, he went out drinking with a bunch of his friends. And on the way home, as luck would have it, there was a head-on car crash. And Chester got thrown right through the windshield. And by the time the ambulance got there, Chester was ready for last rites. He had a fractured skull, multiple cuts and bruises, and his legs were shattered. And by the time they got him to the hospital, the doctors, surgeons were already conferring about possibly amputating one of his legs. That's how bad shape he was in. So after some consultations, they decided to try a new procedure where they inserted these steel rods into Chester's legs, hoping that the muscle tissue would grow back over the rods and help the healing process. Well, the surgery went well, but Chester was consigned to a wheelchair for about a year during his rehabilitation. And part of his rehabilitation was using these light, like 10-pound dumbbells to kind of keep his upper body muscles from atrophying. So after about a year, he got out of the wheelchair and had to walk with crutches for, I don't know, maybe another year. But he got his doctor's permission to work out with the weights as long as he confined his workouts to his upper body, didn't, use heavy weights. But as time went on, his legs were healing, and he got permission to do some light leg work. Eventually, Chester began to do squats, starting with an empty bar. And eventually, Chester's physique started to round out. He really got into weight training, and kind of took to it like a duck takes to water. So after a while, he was able to squat with heavier and heavier weights, and his upper body actually developed real quick also, to the point where he decided to go out to California, and he joined the gym out there and took up the California lifestyle, and over a period of years he was able to develop his physique to the point where he was able to compete. He developed a really high quality competitive physique. Now, after about 10 years, he got to the point where he was competing on a national level, took all of the national titles. Anyway, the upshot to all of this, Chester Yorton, who became Chet Yorton, was the first man to defeat Arnold Schwarzenegger in competition. Now that in itself is a triumph, but the deciding factor, the irony to the whole thing, was the reason that Chet beat Arnold was because Chet's legs were better than Arnold's legs. Okay, so Arnold had him on the upper body because Arnold had a huge upper body, but his legs at that time were out of proportion. So Chet had better proportions, he had the better legs, And, again, that was a miracle. Not only that he was able to build a physique like that, good enough to defeat Arnold, but that he did it because he had the superior leg development. Now, the takeaway is what happens is when young men pick up a muscle magazine, their first inclination is, a lot of them, not everybody, but a lot of guys, they say, man, I want to look like that. And what they're really looking at, for the most part, are the arms, the chest, the back maybe, but it's always the arms and it's always the chest. So what do judges in a physique contest look for? So anybody out there that has aspirations to compete in a physique contest, it's not what you have, it's what you don't have. So most guys that compete in physique shows, they all have great arms, they all have great chests, they all have great abdominals, they all have great backs. But when most guys start, the emphasis is so much on the upper body that a lot of guys neglect their legs, and they spend an inordinate amount of time trying to bring their legs up in proportion to their upper bodies. That was Arnold's problem, basically, that his legs were out of proportion to his upper body. And Arnold worked very, very hard to bring his legs up. And in fact, I have a candid photo of Arnold squatting with 425 pounds for repetitions. You can see the after effects. Arnold's legs now are in proportion to his upper body. The man standing there training with Arnold is the late Dave Draper, who I mentioned in a previous video. He came up with the classic, you see those weights, just pick up the weights and stop trying to figure everything out, okay? Just start lifting, all right? Don't worry about everything else, how much protein, how much this, and how many sets, how many reps. It all comes instinctively after a while, okay? So your takeaway is this. If you have aspirations of competing in physique shows, and that should not be your initial reason for getting into this, but a lot of guys, they want to compete. You have to understand, in the old days, the muscle magazines, most of the propaganda revolved around competition bodybuilding. So if you're 14, 15 years old, you pick up a muscle magazine, right away, psychologically, you're thinking, I got to build a body like that for competition. They got to have you thinking about building a competitive physique. So you don't build a house from the roof down. You build it from the bottom up. You have to build the foundation before you put all the rooms in and you put the roof on. So your takeaway is this. Your legs are half your body. You got to squat. If you're a beginner, or if you've been at this for a while and you've been neglecting your legs, or you work your arms and your chest 5 times harder than you work your legs, take it from me. The judges are not looking at your arms. They're not looking at your abdominals. They're not, unless you're so far out of shape. But if you're in really good shape, and all things being equal with all the other competitors, they're going to start looking at your legs. Are your calves in proportion to your thighs? Are your thighs in proportion to your hips? Is everything in proportion with the upper body? That's what they're looking for. They're looking for proportion. They're looking for symmetry, okay? You can have great arms, great chest. You can have a really great upper body. Most guys do that compete. But if the legs are out of proportion, or if they're almost non-existent, you don't stand a chance. So you want to do squats. That's your basic exercise. You'll find that if you do high rep squats, 15 to 20 repetitions for about 4 or 5 sets, 2 or 3 times a week, you start there, Okay, whatever energy you have left, you devote to the upper body. That's if you're training 3 times a week. So my suggestion would be, and this is what I would do, I'd cut back on the upper body work and double the amount of work that you're doing on your legs. Your legs are half your body. Now, what happens is when you do a lot of squatting and deadlifting, you're increasing the metabolism, and you're not only increasing, you're improving your metabolism, and you're setting the stage for the rest of your body to grow. If you did nothing but squats, deadlifts, bench press, and maybe chin-ups, I always recommend chin-ups no matter what you're doing, pull-ups, that's all you really need to do. I would do 3 sets of each of those exercises and about 5 sets of about 15 to 20 reps on the squats. You want to build up the weights to the point where you're lifting double body weight. That was the standard back in the day. If you can squat with double body weight, if you can bench press double body weight, and if you can deadlift double body weight, you're going to be in really, really good shape. You're going to look damn good. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. A lot of guys, and I owned a gym and I saw it for myself. There were several guys that were competitive. You remember those guys, Cheryl. You remember Jose?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Jose was your bodyguard. When I was, funny story, I had this guy's big black guy in the gym. He was a power lifter, and he was he was very competitive, and I had a few other guys that were competitive bodybuilders, but there were times when I had to leave the gym for other business, and Cheryl would watch the gym, and she would close up at night, and Jose would make sure that she got to the car safely. But anyway, all these guys had really great leg development, and they did a lot of heavy squats, and that's what you're going to have to do. I mean, you can build a damn good body without really working your legs hard, but like I said, if you're thinking about, going for the gold or turning professional, going into professional bodybuilding, you're going to have to work your legs. I would recommend in the beginning you work your legs twice as hard as you work the rest of your body, because the rest of your body will come along for the ride if your legs are improving and your legs are getting bigger and shapelier. So that's about it. The other thing I wanted to mention is that no matter what your goals are, about 80% of it is dependent on the food that you eat. Okay, you're going to have to explore nutrition and the kind of diet that you're going to have to, the kind of foods that you're going to have to consume to achieve your goals. So again, whether your goal is to lose weight, gain weight, it doesn't matter. You're going to have to get into the nutritional aspect of it, because it's about 80% of your progress either way. So that's all I wanted to say tonight, and hopefully you get something out of this, because it's the truth. If Arnold squatting with 425 pounds for reps doesn't convince you, then nothing will. Okay, so don't forget to subscribe. I got a lot to say. You don't want to miss any of it. For now, just want to tell you guys, stay strong, get stronger, take care of yourselves, and stay safe, and we'll see you next time.